Have a seat. You have something to say to me? Go ahead. Here it is right here from the Cyberpunk 2077 Twitter handle themselves. Dear gamers, below you'll find CD Projekt's co-founder's personal explanation of what the days leading up to the launch of Cyberpunk 2077 looked like, sharing the studio's perspective on what happened with the game on old generation consoles.
What went wrong?
What went wrong? Let us watch this together. Twitter doesn't have a very good video player, so hear it.
My name is Marcin Iwiński, and I'm the co-founder of CDPR. When I started CDPR 25 years ago, one of its founding principles was honest and direct communication with gamers. When CDPR Red, the game development part of CDPR, was born, it added something important to that principle, the ambition to make the best games in the world.
I believe him. I believe him right there. But, you know, as things go along, you can see how things can get messy, how it can get muddied by investors, how it can get, you know, a little confusing on when to release, when is the maximum time for profit, when is the maximum time for game efficiency.
It became our mission and something that guided us up until now. Based on that legacy of genuine and honest communication, you've trusted us and pre-ordered our game. And despite good reviews on PC, the console version of Cyberpunk 2077
was
did not
bad.
meet the quality standard we wanted it to meet.
Good.
I and the entire leadership team are deeply sorry for this, and this video is me publicly owning up to that.
Okay.
Please don't fault any of our teams for what happened. They all are incredibly talented and hardworking.
That's true.
Myself and the board are the final decision makers, and it was our call to release the game. Although, believe me, we never ever intended for anything like this to happen. I assure you that we'll do our best to regain your trust.
I think you knew what might happen if you released it in that state, and you did it anyway.
Calculated risk.
Now I'd like to tell you how the situation looked like from the inside.
Okay.
Cyberpunk 2077 is huge in scope. And I'm not only talking about quests or things you see at first glance. I'm talking about a multitude of custom objects, interacting systems, and mechanics. In the game, everything is not stretched out over flat terrain where we can make things less taxing hardware-wise, but condensed in one big city and in a relatively loading-free environment.
Okay, all this might be true, but it's starting to sound like excuses. You're in my office here giving me, you know, a few excuses. Well, this and that. It's like, okay, yeah, I'll let you
On
finish.
its own, this is a challenge, but we made it even more difficult for ourselves by wanting to make the game look epic on PCs and then adjusting it to consoles, especially old gens.
And that, I believe. They are primarily a PC company. They like making PC versions look the best, be the best, and I like that. A lot of companies will develop console first and then port to PC. I hate that shit. So they probably ran into some issues going from PC to consoles, and they're addressing it here.
That was our core assumption. And things did not look super difficult at first. We knew the hardware gap, yes, but ultimately, I think that time has proven that we've underestimated the task.
Yep.
To give a concrete example, and the main culprit, we had to constantly improve our in-game streaming system for all gen consoles. Streaming is responsible for feeding the engine with what you see on screen, as well as the game mechanics. And since the city is so packed and the disk bandwidth of all gens is what it is, it constantly challenged us. Every change and improvement needed to be tested, and as it turned out, our testing did not show a big part of the issues you experienced while playing the game.
Who the fuck tested the game? All you had to do was boot it up and play it. That's crazy. It's
I don't even watch
crazy.
the
Like,
rest
is
of
it
the video.
bots
It's
testing
like-
the game? Okay, let's go,
As
man.
we got closer to the final release, we saw significant improvements each and every day, and we really believed we would deliver in the final Day Zero update. Now let's talk about the review process. We started sending our PC review keys in the first days of December. On launch day, December 10th, we hit the ground running with a really good start on PC. While not perfect, it's a version of Cyberpunk we are very proud of. At the same time, we're fighting for quality on all gen consoles till the very last moment. And every extra day of us working on the Day Zero update brought visible improvement. This is why we started sending console review keys on the 8th of December, which was later than we originally planned. This all happened while working from home with all the challenges resulting from the COVID-related restrictions. A lot of the dynamics we normally take for granted got lost over video calls or email, and we took that hit too. Now I'd like to tell you about
Now I'm not gonna fault them for COVID. Obviously, that's outside of their control.
Yeah.
But the reasons, around that is you chose to release it. You
Exactly.
could have
That's
delayed it
exactly
even
what I
further
was gonna
and
say.
cited the COVID reason. Now, okay. Anyways, go ahead.
our plans for the future and
Yeah,
present a
let's see.
path
Yeah,
for
that's good.
Cyberpunk 2077 on consoles and PC. We have already released 3 hotfixes improving the game, but that's just the beginning. Our ultimate goal is to fix the bugs and crashes gamers are experiencing across platforms.
Yes.
Please expect bigger and smaller patches on a regular basis.
Yes.
The first update will be dropping within 10 days, and it will be
23rd.
followed by another, more significant one in the following weeks.
That's probably
We
the
will,
first
of
one
course,
that's going to be
continue
good.
to work on the game in future updates and improvements beyond that. Our big plans for supporting Cyberpunk in the long term did not change. As for the free DLCs,
Oh, look
our
at this.
initial plan was to deliver them
Pause it on
just
that.
after the release.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got hotfix 104,
yeah.
105. I think 104 things made better, you said, and then
Awesome.
105 is when it broke again.
And
And
106
106 a little bit better, but
But still crashing.
Little crashing and empty. We go to 2021. We got patch 1.1, which is like, hey, it's done, and here's an additional 1.2. And then you've got multiple updates and improvements that they don't have dates for or anything. There's no dates on this, but it looks trying to be the first third of the year of 2021. And, well, we don't even know if that's the end.
Next
Free
gen
DLCs.
console updates, like,
Whoa, that's
closer
way the
to
hell. Yeah.
2022.
You know,
Okay.
it's difficult because there's no specific timeline on that.
Yeah.
But this is the one that you would expect a little sooner than all that. I would put this next gen console update in front of the DLC. I don't know why it's behind the DLC. You got to make those things run right.
Much like we did with The Witcher 3.
But what is probably happening here is there's just so much work involved in making that
Yeah.
run right. There's no way around it. They need that much time. Showing you
decided
the
to
state
focus
that
on
it
the
should
most
have
important
been
fixes
released
and
in.
updates first, and we'll be releasing the DLCs afterwards.
There you go.
Expect more information in the upcoming months. For those of you playing on next-gen consoles in back compatibility, you can still expect the free next-gen update for Xbox Series consoles and PlayStation 5 arriving in 2021. We are aiming at the second half of the year. I'd like to end this video by assuring you that we treat this entire situation very seriously and are working hard to make it right. The guiding principles of our company are still core to what we do. We still want to make amazing games and have an open communication with you, our players. For now, our immediate focus is to work hard on making sure you enjoy Cyberpunk 2077 regardless of platform. Beyond Cyberpunk, we have many plans for the future, which we'll share more about when we're ready. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video.
They might have been referring to the multiplayer on that. Well,
Yep.
I do like the transparency. I do like the direct communication with gamers. I think it's a video they didn't need to make. Other companies would probably pretend nothing's happening and just put out the videos. So I think that is a certain part of their culture, a certain part of their staying true to their word, that they want to do better. They're going to show you they're doing better. But this is essentially the response. Like, this is Cyberpunk in the principal's office saying, here's how he comes back. After, get out of my sight, he says, here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm laying out. And they lay out an actual roadmap, which all helps towards, letting us know that they're serious about fixing this game. It's just, and a lot of it sounded like excuses. A lot of it sounded, at least he's taking responsibility. Now, full disclosure, I have met him in person. I have, when we were over there, I think he took us out to dinner or lunch when we were all for Cyberpunk or for Witcher 3. And he genuinely, that's him. And he was saying the very same things back then. He's a genuinely awesome dude, and I believe him. Now, when he made that decision, it's like there was probably a lot of factors on him, right? Basically money, basically
pressure,
in the investors,
other-
and basically trying to put it out in a certain quarter so that they get that. And it was just wrong to do. And as you can see here from this plan, none of this needed to happen. You release this game in March. and there would have been bugs. Maybe at the level of Witcher 3. Because Witcher 3 had bugs, let's be honest. Witcher 1 was damn near, in certain places unplayable. This has been an ongoing thing, but not to the crazy extent as we've seen in previous games. And yes, it may seem that CD Projekt is getting a little bit more scrutiny, right, than other companies. But we need to make a stand somewhere. And because CD Projekt Red is sort of cooperating in this and sort of, owning up to that, it really helps overall in the entire gaming community because it will embolden gamers to hold these companies accountable, even if they don't make these direct response videos or apology videos. So I think overall it's good, and from this point it's more show me, right? What do you guys think?
Well, I think they have a great chance here to correct their course. And as we expected, like we weren't saying it was a development team. We love them and everything.
Yes,
and it was
all of them.
Basically the head honchos. We knew that going in.
Yep.
And
Smart Team's fault.
Yeah, and hopefully they open up their eyes. You guys,
guys running the ship is the fault. Yeah.
The pinnacle of gaming. We fucking love you guys.
We want you to do well. We want you.
Don't go into that path.
Hard drugs.
Don't do it.
Don't do that live service stuff where you release it.
You don't even have
and
to
fix
finish
it later,
the game, man.
Okay, you're gonna fix it later. But next game, here's the thing: next game that comes out from you has to be so fucking polished. In fact, when you think it's ready, delay it another 2 months.
Yes.
I'm telling you, you'll have to. You absolutely have to.
And that's what sucks, though.
Alex?
They shot themselves in the foot because they gave themselves a timeline. Like we said, we'll wait.
Yeah,
you guys.
Well, here's the thing: is let me say this.
Already knows.
Never do this, right? If you're a YouTuber, never do this. Never give people timelines because it will absolutely screw you in the end.
It's more pressure.
So I do have a certain amount of respect for them to try to put out the timelines. Now it's a little ambiguous here, and that's a compromise. But that's just showing you their old selves versus their new selves and their reality, and we need to bring them back to reality.
We're still holding out to a glimmer of hope, but let's hear from Alex.
Why though? Like, so one of my so Maya Angelou said, when people show you, I don't even remember exactly this. When people show you who they are, believe them, and they've showed us exactly who they are now. Now you met them years ago when they were like, make sure the game is
5
playable and do all these other things. They had the trust and the love of the entire gaming community, and they betrayed it in the worst possible way. They did the thing that EA hasn't even put out a game this bad. Yeah, and so it's like. I'm still going to play their games. I still want them to fix it. I want to do all these things, but they are forever lumped in with Bethesda and EA. They are no longer the tier above them, and no amount of apology that I don't even care about. It's like this. I don't know. It felt like the old. If someone like truly betrays you and they're like, "I made a sorry video," it's like I don't care. You're still in that. You don't get to get out of it. I'm glad that you made the video. I'm glad that you explained it, and that is nice. But it's too late. The decision to keep me in your corner was made when they said, hey, do we release it when it's not done? Horribly not done. And you know goddamn well it didn't work at CD Projekt on the 10th on PS4.
Oh, yeah.
Because it didn't work at all.
I had to stop the video and say, you knew.
It was bullshit. Like, he's lying to you in his apology video. I immediately checked out. I don't care what you have to say.
And at this point, they're not going to fix it till what, September? He said the second part of the year. So, in best case, October, September. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the one. That's the version that they are saying has the most problems. But honestly, man, I played the PC. Well, I played both versions, and I got footage from both versions. But I had a lot of problems on the PC as well. Let's not try to act like the PC is clean of problems and all that stuff. That game needs work. A lot of stuff that this doesn't address is, are we going to get, a better version of the wanted system, a better version of the cops, the details. He can't go into the details on like that. But I want them to, in addition to these updates that remove the glitches and remove the bugs, I need them to inherently fix the core issues of the game. There is a skeletal system in place, like slapdashed there, to control the cops in the game. It's like they ran out of time and they're like, just put this simplistic programming for the AI on the cops. That needs to be completely torn apart and redone. And it's like, how long is that going to take? And, you know, and at this point, I've been seeing stories come out. They're trying to like gotcha stories. Oh, 70% of players have stopped playing Cyberpunk. Well, it's a single-player game. I think it's up to 80% now. Lost 80% of its players on Steam. But that doesn't mean that they won't come back. I've seen so many comments of people like, you know what, I got a refund, or I'm going to stop playing until all the patches come out and I can play a finished version of this game. And I completely agree with those people. As far as, you know, what's going on with Cyberpunk Online, you remember the multiplayer? You know, that seems like it's, if you look here, it's nowhere on this roadmap. So that is, I've been officially, I believe, delayed until 2022, and good, because I'm not really concerned with that. I'm concerned with them fixing Cyberpunk 2077 now. And honestly, you know, I wonder what Mike Pondsmith thinks. I know there's been some news stories like he's been defending the game, and I think he's a reasonable guy, and he realizes, you know, there's a lot of good, passionate people at CD Projekt Red that have worked really hard on the game. And again, just as we just saw from the co-founder here, that the buck stops with him, and he's apologizing, and it's how do you go forward from here? I do appreciate the message. I appreciate the transparency, though I think they skirted some of the real issues. This is a PR world, right? You know, and honestly, that's part of the problem. I think maybe CD Projekt Red is putting a little too much money into the PR part and not enough into their CD Projekt, you know? Little money,
they would get sued.
Too much money into the PR to get a CD Projekt PR.
He can't say the thing that I want him to say, right? Because he straight up, if you
they
lie,
would get sued.
If you lie in your apology video, which is what he did, he's like, "Oh, it was in a fine state when we released it for PlayStation 4." It's like, no, it wasn't, and you're being sued for exactly that. And if he admitted if he said what I needed him to say,
he'd be in jail. Not in jail, but he'd be sued. Yeah. But that's why I respect the fact that his morals and his like, oh, I don't care. I'm doing this video and I have to do it. And maybe he's got lawyers over his shoulder and legal over his shoulder. It's like, can't do this, can't do this. I guarantee you that's what happened. I guarantee you they went over his statement with him. And honestly, it's probably the smarter move to say nothing. But I like the fact that they're still showing where they came from. They still give a shit enough, because this is how I would do it if it was my company. Well, I wouldn't have released the game early, obviously, in the first place. But, you know, it just goes to show you, you know, how this industry can, you know, chew you up and change people. Now, I do believe them when they say they're going to fix the game, and I need to see it in action, right? All this is meaningless. We're really not going to gather much out of this other than they have good intentions. Now, they fucked up. They admitted they fucked up, and they're going to fix it going forward.
I thought the Twitter
never
and YouTube
see
comments
you
said that there was no bugs.
I never want to see you in this office again. All right.
Yeah.
You
Don't
should
make
be,
a habit out of this.
You should be setting the example.
Yeah, we'll see you next
Don't
game
let
release.
EA, don't
year
let
too early.
Activision,
Stop
do
it.
not let Bethesda influencing you guys.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to see you back here. All right. Thank you all very much. And this came out like right when we were doing our extended review discussion.
Yeah.
So our extended review discussion is coming, guys, but it will not have any of this in there. In fact, we do mention like it would be great if they fucking put out a release, or if they addressed us directly. Sure enough, they did. So that's why I had to rush and make a video right now, because I think that was nice, you know. And ultimately, we'll see where they go from here. All right, guys? Thank you all so much for watching, and get out of my office. See you on the next Angry Joe Show.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.